think we having some kind of difficulty here. You know what it is? Coming up next on DrWhitty Today. Robert Linkonis Sr. is the Executive Director of the Credit Restoration Institute and a certified credit professional with NACSO certification. After 12 years in the finance industry, honing his expertise in credit improvement, he founded Credit Restoration Associates in 2007. He specializes in fixing credit for loan approval and has enabled thousands of clients to secure financing and bonding. A recognized authority in credit repair, Robert also serves on the Board of Directors and Education Committee for NACSO, where he co-developed the certification exam for credit repair specialists. He is a trusted credit expert and moderator for various consumer platforms and has shared his insights as a featured speaker at financial conferences and academic institutions. Joanne Hall is a dedicated board operations manager at Credit Restoration Institute, where she drives innovative interdisciplinary initiatives to enhance financial well-being through credit repair and education. Her leadership has been pivotal in reducing financial stress and improving credit worthiness, offering critical support to individuals striving to rebuild their financial stability. In addition to her operational expertise, Joanne is a seasoned public speaker known for her ability to captivate diverse audiences from church functions to empowerment summits. With exceptional interpersonal communication skills, she inspires communities to transform financial challenges into growth opportunities, fostering hope and meaningful change wherever she speaks. Listeners and viewers, here and at home, please welcome our host, Dr. Whitty. All right. I think I'm having technical difficulties out here in internet land.
Happens to.
Can you hear me?
That's a great introduction. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Having difficulties, so hopefully it'll come together here real soon. So anyway, welcome to DrWhitty Today. I don't know what anyone's seeing because I cannot see anything of what I want to see. So I'm going to talk and you guys let me know if you see or let me know what you see. But welcome to DrWhitty Today. We've got an awesome show prepared for you. We're going to be talking about financial literacy and mental health. And we have some awesome guests in Robert Linkonis and Miss Joanne Hall. Welcome to DrWhitty Today. Starting with you, Joanne, how are you feeling today?
I am actually doing good. It's a great day in Richmond, Virginia, as usually. A little clouds in the sky, but it's still nice outside. So I'm good, and I'm here to be with you all. That's very important. So I'm loving it.
All right. And you, Robert?
Doing fantastic. I feel like I've been talking all day, but my voice is coming back. So that combined with allergies. So everybody just excuse me if the voice kind of sounds a little froggy sometimes, but it is what it is.
That's all right. You and I will have froggy voices, and I still have this lingering cough bad for a couple of weeks. So hopefully that won't be a distractor in tonight's episode. So Once again, welcome to DrWhitty Today. We've been putting this off for quite some time. I'm glad that you chose to come on to the platform. I always have great conversations with Joanne, and I'm also looking forward to talking more about your upcoming mental health event. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But I'm going to start the questions with Robert because Robert, I understand that you are the CEO and executive director of the Credit Repair Institute. And so I would like to know what made you start that Credit Repair Institute?
Well, back when I was a young adult, I promptly I promptly defaulted on my very first piece of credit. It was a car stereo from Circuit City, if anyone's old enough to remember Circuit City back in the day. And they had no business giving me credit back then because they were not going to get paid back. But then as a young adult, you need things. And I had a family very young, and we needed furniture and other things that a young family needs. And then I remember getting turned down, and that feeling of being denied. I mean, talk about mental health. It almost borderline obsessed me in a way that I am not getting turned down. And so I get the adverse decision letter in the mail stating the reasons for the decline. And it said you could order your credit report. Actually, this was back in showing my age. This was back in 1989. It was before a credit bureau called TRW, even before they rebranded as Experian. So this was back in the late 80s, early 1990s. And so I had ordered my credit report. And it said I could get a free one if I was declined. So I wanted to see why I was declined. I ordered the report. And then it said you can order from the Federal Trade Commission this law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act that gives me rights on how can I fix something on my credit report if it's not 100% accurate. And so I requested the book, and the FTC sent me this hardcover Fair Credit Reporting Act, the hardcover book. And I just became infatuated with the machinations of the credit score. How is the score computed? How do we change things around? And it's just been a passion of mine for over 30 years. And in 30 years, a lot of things have changed. We've, right now we partner with an attorney here in Richmond, and Jason and I have been together for, almost 17 years now. And Jason is a fair credit and a fair debt attorney. I am a FICO credit expert, a FICO Advantage credit expert. I'm very good at it. And I started because of my own situation. I understand where people are coming from. I understand that no one does not want to pay their bills. It's always something as far as a job loss, a health issue, something to do with a family member in some capacity. And and I understand that. And my passion is helping people fix the situation.
All right, thank you. And I'm glad you started that institute because obviously it's helping a lot of people. And so it's definitely a way to get back to the community. So thank you for that. And Miss Joanne Hall, what about you? What brought you to the Credit Repair Institute?
Well, Robert has a story, and I have 12 more to meet his. But I've done just about everything in my life, and if I did nothing else, then I'm okay. I've made a lot of mistakes. So when you make a lot of mistakes, if you have faith, it points you toward resolution. So that's what I would say. I have my own testimonies, and I'm no better than anyone else. But why not get in an industry that helps people like the position I once was in? So I was in the military. I graduated rather early, and I came from a single mother household. My father passed when I was 14 from colon cancer. But at that age, my mother was working 2 shifts. I decided to go and get a job. I had no choice. You know, that's how mom was. Either you get a job or you get out of here. Even at that age, just she would have kicked me out, but but I ran into a lot of mistakes. Being in the Army, you have all of your things taken care of. You have the barracks you live in, if you're active duty especially. You have your 3 hots and a cot. There's no one times in your childhood, or definitely not in the military, that sits you down and says, this is what you do. In your household, it's do not get debt. If you cannot pay for it out of your pocket and in your hand, do not get debt, period. And when you say do not to a teenager, oftentimes it turns into do because of rebellious nature. So, you know, of course I had to try it out. And I didn't know what I was doing, you know, to keep it short. I tried some things. Capital One sent me a card. PNC Bank sent me something saying I could qualify for a computer. And it was 1997. So it was like big Apple deal, this big Apple computer, which now I don't even know why I would even want it. Plus, by the way, sorry, PNC Bank, I didn't get a computer with that. I was 18 years old. So, and what I didn't do, like such as Robert, I didn't pay it back either. I didn't even think to do so. And it's kind of interesting looking back, saying, wow, what, God, the names you might call yourself, because why wouldn't you know to pay this debt back? Well, if you're not taught something, out of sight, out of mind, you live your life and you continue to move forward. But had I known then what I know now, you know, I would make different choices, military or not. I would have done that. And that's what egged me on when I found Robert in the area. And I said, wow, his mission aligned with my mission to help veterans. Being in the mortgage industry, I've seen this a lot with transitioning service members, as well as current veterans having a lot of credit and financial literacy struggles. And then I met Robert out of nowhere. It was like perfect alignment. And he, as you can tell, is ultra into and invested and passionate into helping people, just like who I was in that situation and many others. So I had to join forces, and we've been working pretty well together, really going out here and doing our workshops, community outreach, and increasing our partner impact as
well. Okay, great. I heard some of that. I can certainly relate to the stories about getting a credit card when you graduate and you get that little notification. You're starting your classes and you get that student credit card and you think, oh my God, free money. And, you know, like you said, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. Just going, oh, I got a card and it has this amount of money on it. And then all of a sudden, when you start getting those bills, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't count on that part. So I can definitely relate. So, all right. Well, we're going to get into some questions, and we're going to see where our conversation goes tonight. Is that cool?
Sounds good.
All right. And these questions are for either of you can answer them. So just to make sure you don't think that maybe it's directed to one person. So it's for both of you to give your input. So the first question is, how do you see the interplay between credit worthiness and mental health influencing our daily life? Rob,
well, I think the link is a lot stronger than we realize. When your credit's in bad shape, it doesn't just affect your ability to borrow. It can influence your housing situation, job opportunities, even just your basic sense of security. That stress seeps into everyday life. And on the flip side, if your mental health is struggling, keeping up with bills or staying organized financially becomes harder. It's a cycle that feeds itself unless we interrupt it intentionally.
That's right. And there's many forms of health. When we say health, there's physical health. That's mainly what we think about when someone says, I'm in bad health. And you go, oh, what's wrong? You know, you're thinking there's a diagnosis outwardly. You know, oh, there's cancer. Oh, there's this and there's that. There's internal, and that's mental health. But people don't think about that until they feel someone made a comment that was outrageous. And that's not what mental health is. And when you think of credit and financial, you believe that's a character flaw. Well, no, that's health as well. And health is a well-rounded tool. And you need to have every single piece of your pie in order to be well-balanced. And you can't forget credit and financial health. because not having that piece could subject the rest of your health, the physical and the mental side of it as well. Stress is one of the number one killers in the United States or beyond that. In some countries, the stress level is a little different than westernized culture, but nevertheless, stress is stress, and that can impact your physical health and weigh on your mental state as well. And we all need to be as clean and clear of conscious and mindset as we can to continue to navigate this world to make the right choices that we need. So it's all relative, and we need to look at that piece of the pie, is what I call it.
Exactly right.
I like that analogy, because every aspect, every piece of the pie or every piece of the puzzle. And a lot of times people, when you talk about mental health, like you said, you even have to add in physical health, because it's all relevant, right? So I think that's the way you put it is good, because we have to look at the mental aspect of it and how it plays a part. Like even when Robert was talking earlier, you get that debt and you start stressing out and you start trying to figure out, oh my God, what am I going to do? And now everything is going downhill. And so places like the Credit Restoration Institute is there to help people like me and other folks to get grounded and see that there is a way. I don't know if I should say a way out, but in a sense, there is a way to get things under control, and even recognize that we are not the only person, right? Because some people, when they're in debt, they feel like they're the only one that's been in debt. They're the only one that can't figure things out. So it's good in that sense too, that when people come to places like the Credit Restoration Institute, we realize that it's not just them. This is something that is needed in the community at large. So it makes them realize that they can get a grasp of their credit and can come out on top. So thank you for that explanation.
Dr. Whitty, you're exactly
right. It doesn't discriminate.
Yeah. Shame isolates an individual. And when you have bad credit, then there's a degree of shame in that, which is stereotypical. It's not, you shouldn't be ashamed, but it happens. And with financial, just having credit issues, having bad credit, makes someone more anxious, there's a degree of depression, there's stress, anxiety, depression, hopelessness, all coming from having credit issues. And what we do is why I feel so passionate about it is because correcting the financial stressors reduces stress, reduces anxiety, reduces depression, reduces hopelessness, all of which are root causes of suicide, by the way, some of them. And life should not be, you shouldn't be branded by a 3-digit score, is my point.
Exactly.
Right. Wow. And I was going to say, it's not, credit doesn't discriminate is the first thing I thought about. It doesn't matter whether you're a billionaire. You'd be surprised how many people who are, maybe cash poor, but on paper, they're rich. They're deemed as wealthy. I mean, 7-figure or more earners every year, but their credit score is no different than a person just surviving homelessness and just getting a brand new job. The credit score is 532 here, 532 there. Neither one of them per credit only can get into a vehicle without a 22, 24% interest rate possibly. So it does not discriminate. So that's one thing that everyone needs to know. And don't limit yourself to just your own devices. I would say always go to someone who knows what they're doing, because otherwise it's just a peer-on-peer conversation. And, everyone doesn't expose the things that they have going on or what they struggle with. So, it just doesn't discriminate. Anyone could have bad credit. Even the most perfect, articulate person speaking to you may be struggling with financial literacy and credit, and you wouldn't know it.
Yeah, it just as both of you are talking, it just makes me think of, excuse me, when I was younger, I can remember a time where my mom was trying to, she was trying to move us into a better apartment. And I didn't understand at the time, but we would go around to different places and she would just say that, she was denied. And it would feel so bad because, our hopes would be up. We said, oh, this is a nice place. This is a good one. And we pick out, an area or pick out a room only to come back and be told, sorry, your application was denied. And I didn't understand why, excuse me, at the time. But now, being an adult myself, I get it and I understand it because I too have had to fill out, applications to live in an apartment or buy a car or whatever. And it really can make you feel, I don't know that I ever felt isolated, but I did feel, I would say, um, down or, I don't know if I even felt depressed, but it definitely made me feel a certain type of way if I couldn't get something that I was applying for. And for me, it was just because, I felt like, okay, I don't understand this. So I missed out on a part of knowledge somewhere growing up that to where I didn't understand all of the facets of credit. I'll put it that way. So if I had known that there were places like Credit Restoration Institute, I probably would have, back years later, would have jumped at an opportunity to learn more about credit because, and still, I'll be honest, my knowledge about credit is still pretty limited, although I understand it more. So I'm glad you guys are here because you're going to teach me more. All right.
It was a sense of hopelessness. Is what you felt. It was a sense of hopelessness. I'm just thinking about what you said. You weren't ashamed per se, but you feeling hopeless. Like you're like, I'm putting these applications. People are saying no. I remember my mother in the situation there. I get it, but it's hopelessness. It's not the end of the world, but your hopelessness will cause you to be a bit weary, and emotional, and have a form of anxiety moving forward. You'll do so, but that hopelessness feeling, I think, is what you were explaining. It sounds like.
All right. All right. Thank you. Can either of you share a personal experience involving credit or financial challenges that directly impacted you, and how you came back from that? What types of strategies did you put in place to bounce back from your experience?
Well, again, back as a young adult, a lot of times people have to learn things the hard way, and learning things the hard way builds character, whether you like the growth or not. And sometimes, even if you have to not be able to take advantage of opportunities for a time while you get you get yourself together, then it is what it is. But I just look at it as credit allows someone to take advantage of opportunities. And so what I've done as far as mental health goes, I mean, I look at it all the time. As far as credit, I look at, well, again, dozens of people's credit reports every single day. And I am very empathetic with all of our customers because I know where they're coming from, and I know that they're sad. I know they feel, and they tell me all the time, look, I feel so good once my credit score increases. It just makes me just feel great. Thank you so much. And strategies that help bounce back. Just discipline really is the best thing I can. My personal self is maintain discipline. Work hard to keep good credit once you get it. If you have it, keep it. If you have had situations, we can help you with lots of ways to correct the situations, and then just maintain discipline moving forward. That's the best strategy I can, is just knowing that good credit gives you advantage just take advantage of opportunities. Once you get it, and then keep it. As best as the world will let you in our world system.
I would say for me, for all the troubles and the bad choices I made, not paying bills on times, ignoring them altogether, ignoring those letters, and not keeping enough money in my bank account, and all the other numerous things a lot of young people do, and some people who are older with kids. I would say for those lessons I learned several things. Pay your bills on time. It may not be the due date, pay at the statement date. Put a little something extra on there if you have a little extra money to go more toward principal instead of interest. Making sure that my utilization is under a certain amount, making sure I don't go over my card altogether. Make sure I understand if I have a credit builder account, make sure that I actually use it actively and be responsible so that it will not close, use it to my advantage. Save money, and if I save it, of course, I can invest it. However, I need to make sure that I have a cushion in case I lose a job. Times get hard. Maybe even have a second stream of income or more than that. And make sure that I give back to other people, because that's a blessing. I know that's not technically a part of credit structure, but I find when you teach others, it allows you to keep yourself accountable as well. So those are the things I've learned, and those are the resolves, just making sure that I do what I once did not do what I once did at one time. So it's been working.
Thank you. Before we go to the next question, can you clarify, or I guess I should say elaborate on the statement date versus the due date? Because I've heard people talk about that, but I don't feel that I have heard them really explain it. It's usually they just throw it out there, but they don't really explain it enough for me, I'll say.
Well, let
Sure.
me grab this one, Joanne. It's the statement end date on any credit account. Let's just take a credit card as an example, a revolving line of credit. The day the payment is due is the payment due date, but the balance that's on that account when the statement ends is the balance that's reported to the credit bureaus, usually at 12:01 a.m. after that evening's batch upload interface, where all of that day's statement ending accounts get reported to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, and other credit bureaus too, by the way, the smaller ones, which we can discuss, public records databases and other credit bureaus. But the balance on the account when the statement ends is the balance that's reported to the credit bureaus, usually the very next day. You wake up and it's already reported to the bureaus. So proper credit card management involves use a calendar app, which is what I personally do. I run the company and my household off of several different rewards credit cards. And so I have on my Outlook calendar statement, pay Navy Federal credit card. This is an example. Statement ends in 3 days. And the reason why 3 days is because we just went through Memorial Day weekend. If your statement ends on Memorial Day, which was a Monday, there was a Sunday right before, and then the Saturday before that, usually if you pay it on the Saturday, you don't want to take the chance on it not crediting for some reason. So pay it 3 days before, or at least factor or put your notification out 3 days before. Then if you're going to use the credit card, which is a good rewards credit card, could be a second or an additional income stream, like Joanne mentioned earlier. Having a good income stream, having as many income streams as possible is smart. So using the rewards card, and then setting your minimum payment up on auto draft. Minimum payment auto draft. Knowing when the statement closes allows you to divert as much as your budget will allow to pay on the credit card right before the statement ends. Then when the statement closes, technically you could max the card out the day after the statement closes, knowing that you'd have to pay it off before the next statement end date. Make sure your minimum payment is on auto draft so you're never late on anything. And then that way manage your card so the lowest, if not zero balance, is reported to the credit bureaus every single month on your card. That is the best strategy for credit card management so that you can use your cards.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that explanation. That helps, because I haven't had anybody, explain it back down.
And let me elaborate a little bit more, Dr. Whitty, if you don't mind. The revolving credit as a FICO category weight is 30% of the credit score. And 30% is important because it's almost as heavy a weight as all of your history, which is 35% of the credit score. So credit card utilization and all of your history together has almost the same category weight, because the data scientists at FICO, and again, FICO stands for Fair Isaac Company. Bill Fair and Earl Isaac created the Fair Isaac Company back in the late 1960s, 67, I think. And that was to create a credit score that has a mathematical prediction of repayment risk using components such as your credit history, age of credit, mix of credit, credit inquiries, revolving credit utilization percentage. Now, the current versions of the FICO score range from 300 on the lowest side to 850 as the best credit score you can get, which is a 550-point range. Now, 30% of 550 points is 165 points. That factors just into percentage of revolving credit that you've used as compared to your aggregate credit limits. So it's okay to use the cards, but I hear a lot, man, I can't get my score higher. I pay my credit cards every time on the payment date. Well, in many cases, the cards are high utilization when they're reported to the bureaus, which is what the balance was when the statement ended. So understanding that this is 165 points as a category weight, try and keep your credit card balances as low as possible. If the budget does not allow you literally to just pay it off every month, use proper credit card management as a strategy to keep the score as high as possible, which will give you the option to take advantage of opportunities. Again, back to keeping your credit score as good as you can get. Hope that expansion helped a little bit as far as the dynamics of 165 points factors just into your credit card. And that's your aggregate balance compared to your limits. It could be a $200 little credit card as compared to, say, a $20,000 credit line. The score is only factored into percentage of utilization regardless of dollar amount.
As you were talking, that word discipline was just flashing across the screen, Gotta have that discipline. But thank you. That was a good explanation, and it makes sense as well. So that's something, that I definitely want to pay attention to going forward. So, excuse me. Okay, next question. Let's see. In your view, how can we redefine creditworthiness beyond just numbers to include qualities like, you already mentioned it, self-discipline, resilience, and even mental strength?
They always say practice makes perfect, right? But education as well. And it doesn't always mean you educating yourself. It can be someone else educating you as well, or even reminders and accountability. So there are plenty of workshops that I hear, we know, because we do a lot of workshops and seminars, whether it's virtual or in person, just empowering people, because we are nonprofit. So the first thing is literacy and education, because before we can do anything to make any resolution, you must know or be in the know. Or know you can come to someone and feel comfortable to find out information, just as you asked about some of the questions dealing with the statement and dates and so forth. That's the kind of questions that we look for and seek during our classes. So education is key when it comes to a resolve and resolution. Advocacy, if you have knowledge or you go to a place that has knowledge, then they will advocate for you in the place of you with your creditors and the credit bureaus, especially someone like Robert who's been doing this for 30 years. You definitely want to get linked up if you have any trauma associated because of the credit challenges or financial disparities. Then seeking professional help, not in a bad way. This is healthy because everyone at certain points of time in their life for any reason needs that help. That's why we also have partners that are on site trauma and addiction therapists, actually, with LPC Nancy Leonard, because we do understand, and she understands that a lot of things are interconnected and one cannot be served without the other oftentimes, or there's an injustice. Seek community care and aid. There could be benefits that allow you to come to a nonprofit or for-profit, because oftentimes there may be a lower fee, but that's something you can come to as a sponsorship with your city or local or federal government. They offer that. And then there's holistic measures, such as what I've stated with counseling, but then we're also have other aspects where it could be therapy through mindfulness. It could be therapy through just talking to someone, or spiritual counseling. So I would say a well-rounded team, or at least the resources, and then work the process when it comes to getting resolved and getting yourself back healthy in all ways of that pie that we spoke on earlier.
Good stuff. Yeah, and this is such an important question. Credit scores are just one piece of the puzzle. Joanne and I hear every day from our customers, just working 2 or 3 jobs. We have a lot of single mothers in the program too, and they're just doing everything they can do to just get by and to slowly rebuild after a setback. We've got to value the whole story, especially traits like persistence, discipline, mental resilience, financial systems. The big machine needs to evolve to reflect human experience, not just data points.
Personalized approaches.
I was thinking, even as both of you were talking about it, what stigmas have you heard, or do you believe are out there in terms of credit worthiness or credit management? I'm thinking, how there's a stigma surrounding mental health. Like, if I go there, maybe I'm crazy, or I don't need help. What types of stigmas have you heard or encountered around credit worthiness, or just going to seek out services such as you?
Yeah, I mean,
well, I would say just one. Sorry, I was just going to throw one thing out there. When someone doesn't pay their bills, oh, they must be lazy,
Yeah.
Or they don't, or they're just lazy, or they're just dumb who wouldn't pay their bills. Well, that's not necessarily true, and that's something that's not healthy. So, and Robert has heard many more.
The shame attached to a low credit score is heavy. It keeps people from getting the support they need. Just human nature. We have got to change the narrative from blame to empathy.
Wow. Yeah, as you were talking about that, I was thinking of one experience that I had where I had went to purchase a vehicle, but this was several years ago, and I noticed that I would want a particular vehicle, but then based on my credit score, I was told, well, maybe you might want to look over here in this section, or maybe you go, and so I felt some type of way about that, because I was like, I don't want what you're trying to show me. I want what I'm looking at. But that was a personal experience of mine years ago. And so I definitely realized that there is a difference when it comes to that credit score, the way some people treat you and the way some sales people approach you and construct deals, if you will. So I think it's very important for not only me, but anybody who is lacking in financial literacy to take charge and be honest and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm not really sure. Or I didn't grow up with parents who sat me down and showed me all the tricks and showed me all the ways to handle my finances. And so it's good to know that there are places and people that you can go see and learn this and get yourself back on track. So thank you both for the answers that you're providing here. And I hope that people out there that are listening and viewing are getting something out of this. And I encourage you to go back and find this video and review it, because I guarantee you there's something in the video that you didn't hear when you was watching the program. So please make sure that you come back and review this video. Thank you, Robert and Joanne. We're not done here, but we're going to take a commercial break. And we're going to be right back because we have more questions to get into. And we hope you guys will stay tuned. So don't go far away. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Life is a beautiful, complex journey, but amidst the hustle and grind, how often do we stop and ask, are you okay? Introducing Are You Okay? A mental health and well-being check-in and conversation, the groundbreaking book by Dwayne Wiggins Jr. With a sincere heart, Dwayne takes you on a journey that reminds us all mental health matters. This powerful guide encourages open dialogue about mental well-being, showing how vulnerability fosters healing, connection, and understanding. It's a call to reflect, reach out, and break the stigma around mental health. Together, we can build a community rooted in empathy, support, and understanding. Start your journey today. Pick up Are You Okay? And spark meaningful conversations that truly matter. Because when we check in on each other, we grow stronger together. Dr. Candicia Randolph's book, The Black American Church, Leadership Dispensation and Challenges, critically examines leadership within the Black church, drawing from historical and anthropological perspectives. It identifies challenges faced by this vital institution in the Black American community and proposes practical solutions. The church's impact on Black culture and leadership is explored, emphasizing its historical context and influence over nearly 5 centuries. Through research and data, the manuscript aims to enhance the church's effectiveness and cultural relevance. Get your copy where books are sold today. Presented by Dr. Timothy Felton and Teron Coleman, Black Boys Matter explore the vital role of parental presence in raising Black sons. As Black boys navigate persistent obstacles and challenges, fostering authentic, trusting, and nurturing relationships through positive engagement becomes crucial. Each chapter of this profound manuscript leaves readers with greater understanding and deliberate techniques for addressing the issues these young men face. Get your copy wherever books are sold. All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I apologize. I think the weather is messing with everything here, but that's okay. I don't know what on my I see frozen people, frozen commercials, everything. I don't know what you're seeing.
I see you moving, thriving. Yes.
All right. Well, we're back. Hopefully everybody's tuned back in. Thank you for joining in to DrWhitty Today. We're talking to Robert Linkonis and Miss Joanne Hall from the Credit Repair Institute. in is it? I say Richmond, but I think it's at
North
North Chester.
Chesterfield.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're talking to them. They are dropping a lot of gems centered around sense and sensibility and balancing credit worthiness with mental clarity. So we're going to continue our questions. And once again, either person can jump on this question. So we left off, we were talking about social pressures and stigma centered around debt and credit score. So how do moments of financial uncertainty or credit setbacks typically influence a person's mental state, and what steps can be taken to buffer this impact?
Mm.
Well, the moments can feel paralyzing. I mean, financial uncertainty, credit setbacks. I mean, when people aren't in a comfortable place, in many cases, you just sit back and I guess one person was telling me they just eat a whole gallon of ice cream, or or just just watch a movie, try not to think about it. You know, what they call ostrich syndrome, where the ostrich just puts his head in the ground rather than dealing with reality. And unfortunately, that's just part of life. If you feel paralyzed, you tend to start spiraling. Like, what if I can't pay my rent? Oh my gosh, what if I am not? What if I never recover? I mean, look, I've been there. I know exactly how you feel. The key for me is to just focus on the next right step. What can I control today? For example, calling a lender if you have an account in default, calling and seeing what repayment options are available. Yes, the account got behind. That's okay. If it got behind, it is what it is. But now, what options are available to me to correct the situation and move forward? Every creditor has hardship options. And that's one thing that you can control, is asking what options are available. They're not going to say, "Oh, we've got you on the phone now. You'd better do something, or else we're going to come put you in jail." I mean, that's totally illegal. It's against the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. But you can call and just see what options are available and ask for help. Also, stepping back and just remembering the seasons always change. It won't always feel this way.
Wow, and that's interesting. He mentioned, see what you can do. Working in the mortgage industry for about 8 years or more, I worked in every area, whether it's mortgages, prospecting, servicing, bankruptcy, and a lot of other departments. But the major one was loan modifications. A lot of people did not know that people that own homes did not know there was something they can do. They figured they needed to give their keys up immediately because maybe they were a month or two behind because the husband lost his job or lost hours. When there's a lot of different things you could do, even if it's just a payment and a half or two payments at the end of the loan, as opposed to right now. Whether it's a point in time where there's going to be a 0% interest because they have had on-time payments, so there was a workaround some kind of way. You know, whether it's just lessening the interest because for the last 4 years they have paid every single time on time. And, you know, underwriters can approve certain things at banks, especially major banks, have programs out there for loan modifications. I work for Bank of America, HSBC Bank, and a lot of other big banks. And they do, as Robert says, have resolves for people who are making payments on time. And even if not, if you're the one to call them first, don't let them catch you. You call them, you're being proactive. And many lenders and financiers appreciate a person that's honest enough to say, I'm having problems right now. What can be done? And then they will work for you. Even if it doesn't seem like they would budget, trust me, they are looking because they want to keep your business. And that's one thing that's there. And another thing is mindset. We learn our mindset as we grow from a child on up, and the ups and downs, but sometimes the negatives could take the forefront. And we have to remember that there's always someone doing worse than you. And then there's always room to learn as long as you're alive. So learn from the mistakes, like Robert said, don't have the ostrich syndrome, right? And just keep moving forward. It's easier said than done, but it can happen. You just keep trying. If you fail, get up again. You fail, get up again. And that's how you have to keep going.
Thank you. I know I've been, that person that, might, I haven't stuck my head down in the sand, but it's like ignore the phone call, right? Send it to voicemail, tell them I'm not home or tell her I'm not at home. And it's funny because I actually remember that growing up as a kid, the phone rings, tell them I'm not here.
Right.
And, that avoidance, right? And so, like you said, creditors, they appreciate when you come to them and say, hey, I'm having an issue, a problem. What can we work out? And so I think that is a great way to handle it. I haven't always done it that way, I must admit. I've been that one that would avoid. But I think, too, it was because of some of the experiences that I did have when I would run into issues. I would have nasty phone calls or, nasty debt collectors, things like that. And so I would just, not get on the phone. But it is good, like you said, Joanne, to just be proactive and talk to the creditors up front, let them know whatever it is that you might be experiencing at that time. And again, like Robert said, it's a season. It may be this way today, but it doesn't mean it's going to be that way tomorrow. And so just looking at it all, I just think go back to the beginning when Robert mentioned discipline and Joanne mentioned every aspect is a part of the pie. And so every part has to be addressed, the physical, the mental, wherever you are in your credit history, it all has to be addressed and the person has to understand. So I think you guys obviously do great work. So uh, I'm gonna have to make sure I come down there and get some work done, or get some eyes on my credit, right?
Of course, of course,
Come back to
of
us.
course, Doctor.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Whitty, you're welcome. Remember how you first came in there? You came right in, didn't you? You were walking up and down the hallways. You saw my door open. You knocked at my door. Robert was on the phone and didn't even know you were there because that's how we welcome people. It doesn't, we're not up in the roars because someone's walking or coming up our steps. We don't mind speaking to anybody that walks in because we understand that being nervous anyway, making appointments versus you just driving by and say, you know what, I'm gonna go up there and ask a question to those people. I keep seeing them. What do they do? Well, just come by. And when you came in, you said, "Hey, okay, this is a place. We're an actual place. You can catch Robert on that phone or typing or seeing people any time of the day. So, and that's what we want. We want a family environment because that's what we have to do. Is like it takes a village, as they say, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Let me see. So if you could debunk one myth about credit worthiness that negatively affects mental health, what would it be and why?
Well, the biggest myth is that your credit score defines your value as a person. I mean, your credit score does not define you. All the credit score does is it reflects a very narrow and often unfair snapshot of your financial life. People are out here surviving layoffs, medical crises, inflation, and we reduce all that to a 3-digit number. No, you are more than your credit score, period.
That's right. And I would say too, you are more than credit score. You are more than your bad circumstances or your misfortunes, I would say. And no one has the right to attack you as a human being based on what that score is or the things that are on there because they have no idea the footsteps and the path that you have undergone or where you're going with that. And things do happen for a reason, I feel. And I would say what would really help, if I had to say one more thing, is systemic change. I feel like it is something that should be learned in schools, and I know some school systems are implementing a form of credit reform, but systemically it needs to be entered when it speaks on the government, insurance companies. That's not something traditionally that an insurance agency, or MCO, would do. But why not open up the sector to say, hey, listen, this is not just physical health, mental health, this is financial health, credit health, and it all goes along with the pie and the pieces of the puzzle for 100% health when it comes to a human being. So if we can get that change and reform in the system, this is why we're speaking to city council and council in our district, our councilmen, and also Anthem Health Keepers and a few other MCOs, because we do need to make a change where someone could easily have access to the care without worrying about how they're going to do it or being ashamed. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Exactly.
we welcome that.
Thank you for that. Now, is there a certain age, like if you would give it an age or a number, what do you think is a good age to start children out learning about credit and finances?
Yeah, that's a real good question. I've spoken in front of numerous youth groups at different ages, and unless someone's at the age where they can basically appreciate money in general, if you understand what money is rather than mom, dad, guardian is where the money comes from. You got to actually understand money to understand really what credit is. And so, but to answer the specific question, it's more teenagers who need to know that if you're going to college and you got people on there, get free t-shirt to fill out this credit card application, and then you get something in the mail with the $500 credit limit that's not a prepaid card with $500 on it. You have to pay that back. And then what can happen to you if you don't do it? Almost, scaring them to death, credit monster type stuff is what they need. They need to know, the kids need to know what can happen to them. First off, here is the world system that you're about to go into. It's not all Happy Meals and I mean the real world is, you have to understand a lot of things, and credit is a potential pitfall that has two edges on the sword, and it can hurt you if you don't use it wisely. And that's really seniors in high school, I think, juniors, seniors, someone who has more of an emotional interest or a vested interest in their future. And this is preparing them for their future, understanding the entire credit system, the banking system, what interest is, what compounding interest is, and what compounding debt can do to erode your standard of living. I mean, paying higher interest rates on everything compared to saving that same amount of money into what is an IRA, what is a retirement account. Like sometimes filing bankruptcy is not necessarily a bad thing. In some cases, for example, paying that same amount of debt off over 30 years versus filing bankruptcy and then putting the same amount of debt payment into an IRA is a smart move in some cases. But that's, I can digress all about the what ifs, but basically the kids need to know what is out there and what they need to be prepared for and what they need to be careful of. Best I can say it.
Teach the parent, and the parents definitely will make sure that they teach the kids if they're empowered. That's one thing too. We got to get to the parents in the household. That's the forefront of that dynasty, basically, the parents. And we find that they get encouraged and they fix that credit and they learn more. They instantly hold those family meetings with the children.
Exactly.
Definitely. Wow. So we could talk a lot about financial literacy. You guys were talking. I was even thinking of what Robert said because I get them still today. Just a bunch of I call it, what do we call it? Junk mail with
Yes.
card applications, and it's even somewhat laughable to me because I'll see an application and it'll say you're guaranteed approval, but then you see that up to
Upon credit approval.
that's something used to get me when I was younger because I'd be thinking, oh, a pre-approved credit card for $1,000, $5,000, but I didn't pay attention to two. And so you'd sort of be suckered into, filling out the application, and then they come back and say, oh, well, you got a $500 credit limit. Oh, and by the way, you've got to pay $98. $98 is already charged on your card and you haven't even used it. And so these are things that we have to be watchful for. I call that predatory lending myself. I don't know if anybody else calls it predatory, but it's predatory. And it starts out as as soon as high school. In college, they target military, because even as a soldier, we were targeted a lot with a whole lot of different schemes. Uh, from buying cars to buying just anything
Always a
name.
car.
And when I look back on it, a lot of those were schemes, and a lot of us bought into it because we didn't have any sense. Well, we had sense, but we didn't have the literacy. I'll put it that way. We didn't have the financial literacy that was required for us to make better decisions. So that's why I believe this conversation is valid. I often tell people that my grandfather was the financial person in his household, and as I grew up, I used to see him sitting there doing things with his checkbook, balancing his checkbook, which I didn't really know that's what it was called. But he was doing a lot of things, and so now I always wonder, wow, I wish I had known the importance of that, because I would have sat there and been like, well, why are you doing this? Or show me how to do this. And then I often ask questions like, well, I wonder why he might have not grabbed me and said, hey, sit down and let me show you this. I always think of questions like that, but I can see how financial literacy has impacted people, not just in my family, but other families. I can see how not knowing has affected the way that we handle money. And so this right here is important. And so I know this won't be our last conversation. So I'm going to say you guys got to come back again and talk more about this, because I believe, just as you believe, that once people know more about it and become more financially literate, we can live freer lives and not be bound by so much debt and having to, go to work just to pay Peter and then pay Paul, as they would say. Rob Peter to pay Paul. So, well, we have come up on our time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give both of you a chance to give your elevator pitch. It can be for Credit Restoration Institute. What you want people to know about it, what events you might be sponsoring or coming up in the future, anything that you let people know about you and how to find you outside of this platform. And we'll start with you.
Guys, I am so excited that you were able to be here today and to just listen to the exchange, because we are passionate at the Credit Restoration Institute. We are absolutely passionate about helping people move from disadvantaged to advantaged, which reduces stress, anxiety, depression, hopelessness, root causes of suicide. There is no shame. There's no stigma on credit scores when you come into our building. Come on in. It's creditrestorationinstitute.com is our website. Go on the website, and actually the nonprofit side, creditrestorationinstitute.org. You could qualify for services at no charge to you. Just fill out the questionnaire, and there's a average household median income type thing, and just regardless of anything, we want the chance to be able to help you move from disadvantaged to advantage, from where you are now to where you want to be. We're passionate about it. Phone number 804-823-9601, creditrestorationinstitute.com and creditrestorationinstitute.org are the best ways to get in touch with us. And we have an awesome event coming up. Joanne, if you would take a few minutes, please.
Yeah, definitely. This is the part that really excites me, and I know we're at the end. So there's some things in the works, but definitely for sure we're doing our annual event. Summit event is what we call it. But this year it's going to be a bit different because it's going to focus more on mental health, which of course, as you can tell, is part of our niche servicing and our core foundation. And it'll be the 2025 and August 28th is what we're going with, but we will confirm it on our social media page. You can catch us on all social media. Facebook is our #1. We always update there 4 to 5 or 6 times a day, but it will be called the Credit and Wellness Summit. Usually it's the Credit Restoration Summit, but we want to dedicate pretty much this entire summit to mental health wellness. Of course, there's going to be an aspect. We want Dr. Whitty to be there. He will be interviewing people at the booths and wellness professionals on site, which is what we wish and pray for. We hope that he would oblige us. And then also we're looking to work along with ministries this year. We're waiting on a date with New Life Outreach International. We'll also stay tuned on our website and Facebook. We'll update you all with that. But spirituality has a lot to do with financial regard and a higher faith, a higher power. For those that believe, or for those who are just interested, stay tuned for that seminar along with New Life Ministries and a few other possible ministries as well. And just know, veterans, you're always welcome to come to us. We definitely have you top of mind as a focus group. We understand you transitioning as active duty service members. And we understand those who are already veterans that fought for a country, just like me. I'm an Army combat veteran. So definitely if you need someone to talk to that you feel like will understand where you're coming from, make sure you call same number, 804-823-9601. You can also call me directly, 804-497-9907. I have other resources if you have other needs, such as claims assistance for your benefits. If you need holistic care, or you need just a workout to have a partner to talk to as a friend or companion, there may be some resources I can point you in direction to or provide myself. So we definitely thank you for having us on this platform, and make sure that you understand that this is a family situation here, and you are family once you talk to us. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Robert. This has been an awesome conversation. And again, I would say this won't be the last time. And for those of you that I can be, I'm on all, well, I won't say all social media platforms, but I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and another one that I can't think of. But Dr. Whitty, DrWhitty, please don't put a period after the doctor. Otherwise, you may not find me. But we have information out there. I can also be contacted at www.drwhitty.org. So if you want to view some videos from previous shows, or even this show tonight, it can be viewed on that platform or any of the other platforms. I hope you enjoyed this this episode of Dr. Whitty Today. See you next time. And Joanne and Robert, please stand by for the after show. It's been great. Thank you again. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dr. Whitty Today. We appreciate your time, and your viewership is the heartbeat of our show. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe. Your support keeps us going, and we can't wait to have you back. So hit the notification bell to find out each time we air live. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, stay motivated, and stay tuned.